Hello, it's Amy with Just a Little Ink. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I'm here to show with audio this time a simple card using the Textured Notes bundle. It's in our online exclusives category of the online store. And I'm going to go ahead and just flip my camera over and get going on all of these things I'm talking about. So you can order anything that I share on justalittleink.stampinup.net. That's my online store. If you don't already have a demonstrator, I'd love to be yours. I do send a handmade card with every order that I receive, and if you order enough, typically $50 or more, I do send a little extra something. Not guaranteed what that is, but it's a little extra something. So I'm going to share with you, we're using again the Textured Notes bundle. It's a red rubber stamp set and a coordinating die set. You can purchase these items separately, but if you order them as the bundle, you get 10% off. It's true of all of Stampin' Up's bundles. And right now, because today is April the 24th, Stampin' Up had announced just a day or two ago that on the 23rd, the 24th, and the 25th of April, all orders in the United States of $75 or more before shipping and tax qualify for free shipping, which is a great deal. And so this could be a great option. This bundle retails at $48.50 here in the United States. And I am using a template, something very super simple. This was a card I actually had created for a swap. I participate in a couple different swaps most months. Gives me a lot of ideas. It's something I do with other demonstrators. And anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. A very simple products that you need. You need a half a sheet of cardstock. I'm using crumb cake. You also need a little scrap piece of crumb cake. Whatever your base color is, you want a little scrap of that. I'm using one of the in colors. Actually, I'm using two of the in colors. This is Secret Sea. It's a beautiful dark blue, almost black, but it's not black. It is dark blue. I'm also going to be using Cloud Cover as an ink, not as in paper. And then I'm using some basic white, a quarter sheet for the inside, 4 by 5 1/4, and then a piece that's about 2 3/4 by 4 1/4 that I've cut using those dies. They have a nice kind of textured edge around the outside, which I really love. So I'm going to go ahead and get going on this. I'm going to fold your card base in half after you've scored it at the middle section. Grab my bone folder and move my ordering part there. And then I'm going to pull out crumb cake ink. I want to share how I, first of all, line up my stamps. There's this kind of a basket image. It's kind of a rough image. This is sort of a collage type of design for this. If you'll take and have a straight edge, and you'll make sure that your stamp lines up straight, and get it in this. If you line it up straight on a straight edge and make sure that the stamp image is the same, then when you have it turned over, you'll line up with the bottom of your block and not so much the stamp. And if the stamp isn't quite even on the on your block, it is even and it's straight. So I'm going to go ahead and make an image. And so I'm just going to start on one end and I'm going to come across. I'm just doing a simple background. I've got a couple other things I'll share with you, and I do have some alternative projects. One using the same stamp set and bundle, and a couple of them using a sneak peek. You've probably been seeing images of that on the internet, maybe on Pinterest, because demonstrators have had the option of ordering early this month It'll be available for everyone to purchase beginning the first part of next month. I believe it's around the 6th. Well, not around the 6th, on the 6th. And so you can check the online store out for that. We've got a new catalog coming. There's all kinds of things going on. Right now we have, of course, the last chance category. And so there's a lot of items that have even been discounted. So again, a great time for ordering with free shipping. And if you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, today is the last day to get a discount on your Paper Pumpkin products. Not subscriptions, but the other. So I've made a simple background. Now I put it away before I did anything here. Then I also wanted to take and put a little edge along the inside. Let me grab up into this a little bit higher. So using that same crumb cake ink, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn it around. It's just a little easier for me to see. I'm going to go ahead and put an edge along this section just to give some interest along the inside. You could do that on both sides if you liked. I'm choosing just to stick it on one side. Then I'm going to pull out that Secret C. Again, this is a new in color that'll be available in May. So I'm going to open that up. And I'm going to pull out the greeting. So this greeting says a little note of appreciation. So I'm going to grab a block, stick that on my block, and then again, just like I had shared before, if you've got a straight edge, you can make sure that things are lined up pretty straight by having the base of your block, and then you will line up based on that. So I'm going to stamp that there, and then I also want to grab, there's a thank you, and kind of want to do the same thing with that, so that I know that I've got a straight, it's more important on the inside. So that's all I'm sticking on my inside greeting is here. You'll have to let me know if this is a stamp set that you've already purchased, or if it's one that you're going to be using, it's on your wish list. It was one of the things that I was just drawn to. So if that's for my inside, so we've got our outside base, we've got our inside greeting. I've already cut one of the smallest dies with that Secret C paper. We're going to go ahead and die cut this piece with that same die. So again, it's one of the smallest ones. So I'm going to line it up, and I like using some Post-it tape because that kind of keeps things from shifting around in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Not something Stampin' Up sells, but something that's easily purchased from other online retailers. You might be able to find it at your office supply store. So I'm going to line it up. Just as a reminder, I offset just about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch my bottom or my middle plate so that it'll roll through my machine easily. Using my number 1 and my number 2. Actually 2 of the number 2s. So then I'll get out that greeting. Again, so this is a super simple project. Sometimes they're the best though. The ones that aren't too involved, that you can easily make a lot of them. And this is kind of one of those. So now that we have all of those pieces, I want to stamp on my main image here. And so I'm going to take that basket circle that's in this set. And again, I'm going to use crumb cake. Ooh, scooting stuff all across the front of the table here. All right, so I'm ink up crumb cake. My crumb cake is an older style of our firm foam pad. And I want to put this in the center, not exactly center, and over to the right edge. And then I want to press, make sure it's inking up into the paper. And then I'll clean that after a bit here. That's the only time I need crumb cake on this particular card. I'm going to pull out that secret C again. And with secret C, I'm going to use this beautiful leaf image. And you could use the larger block. You can use a D block if you just kind of angle it over the image. So if you get it all, just make sure that it's all within so that it inks evenly. I'm going to stamp into that beautiful secret C color. It is one of my favorites. And then I'm going to angle it off on the one side so that I have a little going above that basket image and one a little below. I'll clean my blocks after a little bit. That's all I need from this one. We've done all the rest of our inking with that. I'm also going to be using Cloud Cover. Cloud Cover is another one of our new in colors. This particular color is one that Stampin' Up! Has pulled from demonstrators being able to buy in the pad because of some quality issues, and so they're working on correcting that. We'll see what they end up doing, but it was available in the in color marker set, and so I was able to get it from that grouping. So let's see if it'll fit. I think it'll fit on this one. So I'm going to use this leaf image and ink it with the brush tip. This is an old technique on inking just using the markers. And so you're going to come across with your ink again, making sure you're not using the tip of your brush marker. Breathe on it a little bit. And then I'm going to come up above a little, and then I'm going to come below with the other direction. So I'm just going to repeat again. Breathe on it a little bit. Then I'm going to come this other direction. And then when I cover up with that greeting in there, you're not going to see where those two combine. So then it's a matter of just coming in. I'm going to grab out my Stampin' seal. Don't need a lot, just need a little bit. And I'm going to layer this onto my card base. I liked how that background, it looked a little messy before you put stuff on top, but then it starts to kind of fill in. To take the two together, I'm going to put just a little bit of Stampin' Seal, and then I'm going to come in. You could use our liquid glue as well. I'm going to come in here like so. Attach the two together, and that just sets it off from the rest of the front. And then grab some dimensionals. I just need a couple of them. One over here. Here. And then I'll line this up so it kind of overlaps a little bit there. You could go lower, you could go higher. I kind of liked it here, but again, we're trying to gather this whole kind of concept with my layout. Just making sure everything seems straight. I'll attach my inside part. You wouldn't necessarily have to put the Whisper White on the inside, but I just like how it looks. Having that centerpiece there for me to write a message to someone, thanking them. And so, like so, that creates my simple card. Now, what I had done, and I missed earlier when I had done my video with no sound, is I used some of these adhesive back dragonflies and birds. I've used all the dragonflies, but those little birds, they're a nice super flat embellishment, and these are still available. So I'm going to grab just one that's kind of flying off. I liked how it added. Now, I'm going to share with you a couple ideas. One of them is using this very same suite of products. The only thing I didn't use is the corrugated embossing folder that is also part of this, and then there's a black and white papers. But we have some gems. These are called the Neutral Matte Dots. And here I just used some of that designer series paper. You get a lot of pages of this. This is one side. They're all textures though. And then I used some of those dots on the front. I kind of like how that ended up looking. And then I have a couple cards I made using the Impressions of Bloom suite. This is a suite of products going to be available again in our online category, our online exclusives category of the online store. Comes with a photopolymer stamp set, a die set, which is a really cool die set, and designer series paper and a textures impressions folder, as well as I believe there might be some gems as well in this one. I'm not using the gems. What I did is I used this same layout, but I used the squoval and then stamped my flowers on it. I added some of our black brass butterflies. Just did a simple greeting on some basic white, layered it back kind of like I did here, but just trimmed around it, angled my ends, and then stamped on my inside. That was my simple card. Let me pull this up just a teeny bit. And then I stepped it up. Again, same layout, used the embossing folder to give some texture to the base, to my card base, and then I used the other squoval that has the stitched border around it, and then use the die cuts, and only the stamping on it is in this greeting, and popped up. Still use those brass butterflies. Again, the inside very similar, so tons of fun. Hopefully you will find this layout to be fun and easy to use. And if you do, I'd love to hear what you think about it. I'd love to see your creations. And I'd love to see what you think of this. Are you going to purchase the textured notes bundle? Are you going to have on your wish list the Impressions of Bloom? It's a beautiful set. All of that. Thanks again for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd be so appreciative of you doing so. And if you aren't a follower on my Facebook page, Just a Little Ink, I'd appreciate that as well. So have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again next Thursday. Have a great week.